Hello my friends, and welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome. I make videos debunking misconceptions and even outright lies about witches, pagans, and all things esoteric. In today's video, we get to hear yet another conversion story from an ex-witch. This particular ex-witch's story is filled with obvious straw men teetering on the edge of collapse. Without further delay, let's take a walk along Strawman Avenue in Strawman City, USA. I want to make something clear. When I challenge claims made in these videos, I am simply questioning the accuracy of those claims and examining their personal experience with Wicca. If Wicca isn't the right path for someone, then so be it. But there is no reason to speak negatively about it or portray it in a bad light. I also hold no ill will towards anyone I respond to in my videos. I approach these conversion stories from my own experience and practice. I study the occult. I am a pagan and a witch who practices British traditional Wicca, which I have been doing for over 44 years. With that said, let's move forward. I hope you enjoy.
I came from a non-religious family.
So you grew up in a perfectly sane family who did not believe in fairy tales. Great, but what went wrong?
And we had very close ties with each other. Family was the most important. No talks of God, really. But I believed in God, and I believed he was just an impersonal God. He created everything and then moved on.
She claimed she had very close ties to her family, and she believed in God. According to the timeline of her story, this is before the age of 11. Keep these two things in mind for later on.
And when it came to Christianity, we were not Christian at all. We mocked them. We would make fun of them.
Isn't that pretty much shooting fish in a barrel? There are so many things to mock Christians and make fun of them. But wait a second, you believe in a God, so what could you mock them for?
And especially Jesus. Didn't know really much about him, but just the name was said in disdain in our home.
His name was said with disdain? You didn't know much about Jesus? I'm sorry, lady, but did you grow up in the good old US of A? Christians are everywhere pushing Jesus. We just had a little holiday called Christmas. You know, the birth of that Jesus figure. You never knew that much about him? You would have to grow up in such isolation to not have heard about Jesus' miracles and virgin birth.
And when I was around 11, my brother and I were in our yard, and we stumbled on this large stone circle that we thought must have been built by Satanists.
You stumbled upon a stone circle, and your immediate thought was it must have been built by Satanists? Because that's what Satanists do. They go around building stone circles on people's property in the middle of the night. Nora, you need to work on your story. It was on your property. Why didn't you ask your parents if they built it?
And so we thought we should destroy it. So we kicked the stones and threw them.
You decide to destroy it? These Satanists trespass on your family's property, go to all this trouble to make a circle of stones, and you destroy it? How rude.
Did what we could, what damage we could to it, and then went inside and told our mom this wonderful thing that we had done, and she didn't react at all.
Do you know how carefully your parents measured out those stones to make a perfect circle, and you just destroyed their hard work?
And so later that day, my dad came home, and they called us into their bedroom, and my dad had a magnetic sparkle in his eyes, and he just said, what if I were to tell you that witches and wizards were real?
I'd ask real in what sense? In the sense of fantasy, or as in people call themselves witches? Because those are completely different things.
And my brother and I looked at each other and rolled our eyes, and my dad said, he just kept going, and he talked about how they are real and magic is real and we can use magic, and that he and my mother were Wiccans, which is like modern day witchcraft.
You're just now finding out about this?
And we had very close ties with each other. Family was the most important.
Your parents kept this part of their life completely hidden from you? Have you ever been to the house of a Wiccan? There are signs everywhere. You never asked why groups of people come over every full moon? Why there are these little bottles filled with various herbs and incense on every shelf? Or why the bumper sticker on their car reads, "My other car is a broom"? This is either complete BS or you were the most oblivious child in existence.
And we could be Wiccans too, if we wanted to. And my brother seemed indifferent, but I was very interested.
In keeping with tradition, when you reach the age of 18, you can seek initiation, or you can form a coven with friends around your same age. I assume, growing up in the home of two practicing Wicca, that you already knew that. That is, assuming your story is 100% legit.
My parents had bought me a book on Wicca, which became my Bible. And most everything I learned was from that book.
Although there have been several books labeled as a witch's Bible, there is no Wicca Bible. A witch's book of shadows would be the closest thing, and it is an individual witch's book of recipes, spells, and whatnot.
And I started practicing it from 11 on through high school. The things that disillusioned me were the experiences that I had, the negative experiences.
You let your imagination get the best of you. Sounds like despite growing up in the home of two practicing Wicca that you still held on to a Christian perspective of witchcraft. What a shocker.
Namely, thinking or being told that I could control this magic, but having the experiences that I couldn't.
I know people have varying opinions on magic, so I'm giving my own perspective based on my thoughts and experiences. Magic is not controlled. Magic is performed, and it acts upon the reality around us. To what degree and to what exact effect depends on what our intention or will is. I am sure growing up in a Wicca household that you learned it is not all about performing magic. Right? That is like assuming Christianity is all about prayer and nothing else.
Like if I cast a spell and it worked, but then tried to remove it and it wouldn't be removed.
Hold on a second. Are you saying our actions have consequences? If only the Wicca had some warnings about this, like maybe some sort of read, or did you assume you would carelessly dance through life and never suffer any consequences because of your actions? This is demonstrably false. Every action has a reaction.
And then scary experiences, like with a Ouija board that my dad and I used. We used it one time and said no more.
You and your dad used it one time and said no more? What did you think a Ouija board was for? Now, I personally think the Ouija board is a parlor game and that the participants either consciously or subconsciously move the placard. There are others who believe they can communicate with the dead through it. Why were you and your dad using it? Did you not think it would work as you thought it would? Nora, your story is full of all sorts of holes.
And then an experience I had with my mom where we tried to enter into a different plane of existence.
Unintended spells, Ouija boards, and now astral projection? For once, I would like to hear a story about an ex-witch who left because their matches wouldn't light. Or that they ran out of that Samhain incense, or they spilled clove oil in a drawer, or their altar cloth got clogged up with wax. You know, the actual horrors that the Wicca face.
And that experience left me pretty shaken and kept me from delving, just kind of snorkeling on the surface of Wicca. I didn't really delve deeper because of these kind of scary little things.
Good, if true, and I honestly don't think you are being truthful, but if so, it sounds like Wicca was not for you.
I just wanted to stay in the comfort zone of what I thought was okay.
Using Ouija boards and astral projection are not a requirement for Wicca. Of course you should stay in your comfort zone. What a ridiculous statement. These people build Wicca into this bizarre straw man, then go on to completely tear it apart. See how horrible Wicca is? Just look at the imaginary scenarios we faced.
So when I met Dane, I told him I was Wiccan, and he told me he was Catholic.
And he immediately doused you in gasoline.
Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch!
Do you smoke?
Burn the witch!
Guess we'll find out soon enough.
Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch!
Which was appalling to me. But he didn't act appalled at me, so we were able to talk.
But how did you manage to wrestle the matches out of his hands?
And I was able to learn that apparently a lot of the things that I had thought that God was like was a lot of what the Catholic Church had taught. And so he offered to bring me to a Catholic Mass.
A Catholic Mass? You know they are cannibals, right? They eat the flesh and drink the blood of their Savior.
And I agreed to go. And it was in that Mass that I encountered
Cannibalism. See, I can make it up too.
Jesus. During the Sign of Peace, I encountered him and his love and realized that what I was seeking, I had found it in the Catholic Church. He was there. That's where God was.
She got saved already? That was quick. Nora, you really need to embellish your story more. As far as conversion stories go, yours is pretty generic. I would give it 3 out of 10 stars.
When the deacon said, let's give each other the sign of peace, I had no idea what that meant. And I looked at Dane, and he just, I looked at him like this, and he turned to me and he said, peace be with you. He gave me a hug. And then I watched him turn to the people around him. So I turned to the people that were nearest me, and
the forced tears are a good addition. Are you even crying?
They were already turned toward me with their hands outstretched, wishing me peace. And I was just really shocked because I thought, why would you wish me peace? They didn't know that I had mocked them, that I had thought of them in a low way, and that I had disdain for them and their God.
They did not know that you strawman their beliefs and practices, that you created false narratives and situations to paint them in a negative light.
But I knew in that moment that Jesus did. And I couldn't believe that he didn't strike me down the moment I went into his house.
Well, of course not. It's not like you went into his house and destroyed his sacred temple. Oh, wait, didn't you destroy a sacred temple built by your parents?
And so we thought we should destroy it. So we kicked the stones and threw them.
Did they punish you for it? No, they didn't. You claim to have destroyed an actual temple, and yet you suffered no consequences for it.
And even though I felt ashamed of
destroying your parents' sacred temple?
How my heart was toward those people, I just felt this love come from him, from Jesus, and this mercy and peace. I felt his peace.
You felt his peace? Well, this is getting awkward.
And that's how I knew. This is home. This is what I'm looking for. It took 8 years for me to come into the Catholic Church.
Well, good. Everyone should find a path that works best for them. It does not mean all other paths are demonic or that we should disparage or paint others' paths in a negative light. We cannot lift our own beliefs up by cutting others down.
The Bible says to stay away from the occult.
Really? I have never come across that verse. I'm going to assume you are interpreting some verse and twisting its meaning to fit your own biases.
And even if you're in the New Age and you don't believe that, you don't believe in the Bible, do you know why you don't believe it?
As per usual, you're mixing things up and conflating various terms. Wicca, the study of the occult, and New Age are not the same things. Wicca was founded in the late 1930s. The occult represents several various esoteric topics going back in antiquity. And New Age is a loose term representing several various beliefs that grew out of the 1960s and 70s. As for why I don't believe in the Bible, I think the Bible is filled with wisdom. Sadly, most people take it literally and do not read the various stories as mythology. The Bible should not be more believed than, say, Greek or Roman mythology.
I would say at least check into it. Know why you're doing what you're doing.
Good advice. You should know why you are doing what you are doing. That seems fairly obvious. Ritual should have purpose. You skipped past all the rituals of the Wicca and their meaning, despite claiming to have grown up in a Wiccan household. You are familiar with spells, Ouija boards, and astral projection, but have no clue as to how your parents observed the turning of the wheel? Seems very odd.
A lot of the New Age has to do with
Why are you talking about New Age? I thought you claimed to have grown up Wiccan. I guess to you it's all the same.
other spirits and seeking hidden knowledge, either through engaging with spirits or engaging with
Books. Lots and lots of books.
acts like horoscope reading or tarot cards. I really think that people who are doing those things should ask, where is this information coming from? And how do you know that it's benevolent? How do you know it's on your side?
Tarot is a way of fortune telling, possibly tapping into the reader's subconscious. Astrology comes from ancient cultures that believed the movement of the stars and planets had an effect here on Earth, or predicted things like the birth of a king or the birth of a messiah.
Discern it and really go over it with a fine-tooth comb. And I would say don't just cast aside what the church has taught. The church is over 2,000 years old. How old are we? So that wisdom and that knowledge, don't just cast it aside. At least check it out and discern it seriously.
Good advice, and I will. I just happen to look beyond only the New and Old Testament to other writings, other teachings from antiquity, from other cultures, and ways of thought and philosophy. It is a misconception that just because something is old, that somehow that makes it more correct. These stories of conversion are so flimsy and full of serious holes. I've never understood this culture of disparaging other beliefs just to try and raise up your own newly found faith. It reeks of desperation and blatant religious bigotry. I'm not Christian, and I'm not a follower of any of the other various religions around the world. That does not mean those other beliefs are false or created by demons. It just means they do not speak to me. This video should be coming out on the first Friday in 2025, so I want to wish all of you a happy new year in 2025. Until next time, my friends, I will see you in hell, you heathens.